lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction live coverage. It is Sunday night, September the 10th, 2023. My name is Jeremy Lee. As always, I want to thank all subscribers, viewers, podcast listeners. If you are not yet subscribed to Sports Cards Live or the Hockey Cards Gongshow, please take a moment and do so. Let's bring out our co-host, none other than Josh Madigan, co-host of the Gong Show. Josh, what's going on? How you doing today?
Every day's a gift, man. September, getting closer to training camps. Hockey season will soon be here. That's
right. That is the positive outlook of a hockey card collector and fan. And you're right. The season is coming up. The exhibition season will be starting any day now. And but tonight there are 163 cards, hockey cards, ending on the PWCC Marketplace weekly platform, Josh. We have favorited 47 of them, which is actually quite a few more than last time. Last time we only had 30, 47 this time, Josh. I was impressed with the lineup this time. What were your initial thoughts when you first looked at the items up for auction this week?
Yeah, there's some really nice cards in this week's auction. And what I think stood out to me the most is that if you look back at the last month or 6 weeks, when we've kind of been in the midst of the off season, it's been a little bit of hit or miss either on the vintage or the modern side. I think there's some really nice vintage and modern cards in this week's auction. And so it's nice to have a pretty strong lineup from both the old stuff and the new stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know if I do know that you noticed because you reshared it, but I did a post on Instagram today. I kind of picked out 9 cards that I thought I'm going to just talk about them a little bit and put that out there. And what I noticed was the cards that I picked were for the most part low grade, because I only looked at vintage. We're obviously looking at everything tonight, but I chose 9 vintage cards and PSA 1s, 2s, 4s. And as I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, like, these are still great cards for the right person. You know, not everybody only wants to buy brand new looking, high grade vintage cards, and not everybody can afford to buy that. Some people, I love where the hobby is going. There's a contingent of the hobby right now that are really trying to hone in on like the nicest possible card at the lowest possible grade. And they're willing to pay, a premium for cards like that. And so, but not only that sort of that kind of, I don't want to call it a trend, because I think it's better than a trend. I think it's a wonderful way of approaching the hobby. But there was one card I put out there today. I think it was the Eddie Giacomin rookie, 1965 tops. And I think it's a PSA 4. We'll know for sure when we look at it, but it's like really badly off-centered. But that's okay for a lot of people. Not everybody, because you might get a discount on you might pay less than what an average 4 would sell for that card, because of the centering versus a well-centered 4 that has other defects. And I think that that's what I like about this week's auction, is that there's a variety, and it's going to hit a bunch of different profile buyers, and the different types of buyers and collectors and hobbyists. So I like that about this one. I liked it so much that it got me to do that post today, which was a lot of fun to do. And I thought that was just interesting and something I hadn't been inspired to do yet. And what are we on? Episode 26 or so, doing this together. So at least it happened when it did. Jake Dahl, happy Sunday to you. Gary Saboth says, just received my first tag rated card. I'm now hooked on tag subs. Yeah, that's all it takes is one, Gary. I got a few here with me as well. And definitely love the way they present the cards. 90s hockey collector, good evening to you. Thank you guys for being here. Well, let's get into it, because we have 47 this week, Josh, over 50% more than last time. And we often get right into these cards. Oh, I should also mention 5 cards that I have favorited and 5 cards in the auction are mine. that I have consigned to PWCC. So I'll let you guys know what they are when we get to them, and we'll discuss them as we would any other card, except that you'll know that they are mine. So with that, Josh, we're going to start with some of the vintage pieces. And this top row here, these 3 cards, I did include the Clint Benedict and the Chuck Gardner in my Instagram post today. I didn't include the Lester Patrick because while it is, and look at that, $550, it's a PSA 1. But let's take a look at this image. Let's take a look at this card. And I'm going to draw your attention right away to the top left corner. It looks like there is a chunk of surface kind of ripped right out of there. At first, I thought maybe it's folded over. I don't think that's what I'm seeing here, Josh. I think I'm seeing complete paper loss in that top corner right there where you can see me outlining with the mouse. You've got this surface defect or sort of stain right there, something going on over there. And as we come over, like the corners are what you would expect. And don't forget, you guys, this is a PSA 1. And this is a pretty nice one, actually, but it is a 1. You got a crease starting up here, coming all the way down here, crease here, some little cracks in the print right over there, all sorts of stuff going on. Creases coming through here and down here, right through the card here, almost a crack in the card over here, down at the bottom. But all that said, we still have he is one of the pioneers of hockey, Lester Patrick. His brother Frank is actually number 1 in the set. This is the first year of hockey cards ever. The 1910 C56 set. And Lester Patrick is again one of the like most important pioneers in the history of the sport. So a cool card and a key card. I have a copy of it. I have this whole set. That's how much I like this product. And this set, I should say. Josh, anything? I'm going to let you jump into these right away.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Lester Patrick card and didn't know a ton about him until we did our show last Thursday. And boy, his contributions to the game were just amazing. But I want to talk about like condition first and maybe reference back to what you were talking about at the opening of the show, in that where my head's at now around vintage is I kind of look at vintage cards in 2 ways. I look at visual appeal and then condition. And sometimes if a card is just cool and has good visual appeal, it doesn't so much matter to me the condition. Like this card is 113 years old. Yeah, it's got a big chunk out of the corner. Totally get that. It's got some creases. But if you think about it, for how many years of this card's existence? 60 years that it literally had no value whatsoever. Right? So what would your expectation be of a card that's 113 years old? And if there's almost a charm that comes with cards that are in lower grades like this. And so I don't really mind it. Yeah, sure, the value should be dependent on the condition, and I do agree with that. But I would say that this card still has a fairly high visual appeal, even despite its condition. And then when you look at, you're right, Lester Patrick's contributions to the NHL, and just look at, I think there's something like 22 rules that are in the NHL rulebook today that he and his brother Frank came up with, like the blue line, the forward pass, the concept of an assist, right? So these are pretty significant contributions to the penalty shot, or some other things that, or some of the few things that they helped contribute to the game. And so, just an amazing card and an amazing piece of history.
Yeah, great factoids there. And that little chunk out of the top left corner, it's probably the best place it could be because most of it is border. There's a little sliver that would have been blue, but it's, as far as a chunk missing, that's kind of the best missing chunk I've ever seen in terms of placement, and that it does somewhat camouflage itself in, even though you can definitely tell that something is happening there. So, okay, well, let's keep on rolling. Clint Benedict, Hall of Fame goaltender. The C57 series is the toughest of the first of the tobacco era sets to find in good condition. As just to speak to that, my own collecting, the C56 series that the Patrick comes from, I have the complete set. My average grade, and they're all PSA graded. The average grade is a hair over 4. I'm also collecting the C55 set, which is the middle year in between these. And I'm collecting it, although I'm changing it a bit now, but to date, and I'm missing like 11 cards, PSA 5s and better. Now I'm collecting like cards that present like 5s and better. I'll take a 3. I don't care. If it's really nice, I've gotten away from being a slave to the grade on that set. And then the C57 set, for me, any card will do. I don't care if they're ones or authentics or anything. My expectation is really low. Clint Benedict, I mean, first of all, you open this up, and I think I've said this before, it's kind of funny, but like, what a handsome young man he is. Like, look at this guy, clean cut. This is the early 1910s, and he was a goaltender. You can see it's got a couple of spots missing right there above his eye, so certainly an issue. But you know, it is what it is. This is a PSA 1.5, so pretty low grade. Corner wear, as you would expect. All four corners, I'm seeing a crease right through here. You've got a crease coming through here, similar to the Lester Patrick we just saw, where the crease actually does kind of interfere with the lettering. C for Clint, and Benedict, as you can see right there, and the C and the T comes up. I like that it's Ottawa's, not Ottawa, but Ottawa's, plural. You know, in reference to, of course, Ottawa, Ontario, the capital of Canada. And but again, this is the most, in my opinion, the most important rookie card in the C57 set. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about potentially acquiring it. Really good card. I own a copy of it. Mine is a PSA 2, I believe. This is card number 3. I'm just going to take a quick look at mine. Yeah, I have a 2. And I'm just going to put the spotlight here really quickly to show you. That's the copy that I own. The one offered tonight, I would say, has better centering, but I do love my copy, and you know, I don't need everything to be perfect and every card to be perfectly centered. But that's the Clint Benedict. And then Chuck Gardner, another Hall of Fame goaltender, 1933 Canadian Gum, the V252 series. There were 3 major sets in 1933 that came out, and this is one of them. I like this one a lot, Josh. I just like that, you know, you could collect these letters. They would spell a word. You'd send them in. And I love the image. We've seen this image before of Chuck Gardner on other cards from the era, like the 33 O-Pee-Chee set, I believe, the anonymous set. Josh, any comments from you on the Benedict and the Gardner?
Yeah, and the Benedict, I'll just reference again quick my whole distinction between visual appeal and condition, where the imperfection above his eye is very distracting to me. Even though, like you said, in your personal copy, sure, it's not centered as well, but the picture of Clint is so much more crisp. And so, you know, that one's tough to me from that perspective, because it's hard not to focus on that issue there, especially when looking at the card.
Right at his eye, which is a focal point of the card. So, but it is a 1.5. So, you know, yep. I think, you know, despite those little white dots by the eye, which are certainly an issue, but look at the centering, the even wear across the corners. Like it's a pretty nice 1.5 on the front, despite those 2 little white dots. I just want to see it's at $750 right now, plus buyer's premium, which takes it to $900. Any comments on Chuck Gardner?
Yeah, really cool card. I do want one more comment on Clint, just to close the loop here, is that we've talked about a lot, is when you get into lower graded cards, it comes to an issue of trade-offs. And whatever trade-offs personally either satisfy you or bother you the most, because you're going to have significant issues with every card that's graded in the 1, 2, 3, 4 range. And so you're right. There's lots of very appealing things about this card as well.
How about Mr. Chuck Gardner, the V252 Canadian Gum card?
Yeah, super cool. I don't know a lot about that set. It's something I need to learn more about, but I do like it. It is very interesting. It kind of has like an old like Barnum and Bailey's kind of circus kind of feel, like a promotion that you would see in the 1930s to it. And so really cool.
It does have some staining on it. You can see like this one right here, that definitely catches your eye across the top over here. Now keep in mind, it's a 2. It's a PSA 2, good condition. Got a corner issue with staining up there as well. Some I don't know what these are. Like, dare I say nicotine stains or something? I just don't know. You got a dark one right there, a little guy right over there, something happening right here, down along the bottom edge. So there's several surface issues mostly from the staining perspective. That top left corner has something funky going on with it. It's hard to see. The bottom corners have, nice rounding, what I like to see on a vintage card. Again, it's a 2. It's a great piece for people who can't afford higher, don't want to collect higher. $210 for a card from 1933, a 90-year-old card. See how fast I did that math. All right. Thank you guys for the comments. We'll get to them right now, actually. Jeff McMahon, what's going on? Good to see you. Mitch, as I put up earlier, says Lester Patrick, one of the most influential people to the history of the sport of hockey. Rome Rant said, great set, I believe, on the Canadian gum card, I believe. We got the Loud Collector. Yeah, agrees that Lester Patrick, very important, and embarrassed to say I didn't know about him before. I mean, they are the famous Patrick family. They're still involved in hockey, I believe. What was his name? From the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins up until not too long ago. Craig Patrick. Thank you. Yeah, he's a descendant.
I think pioneers in women's hockey too, if I'm correct.
All right, let's keep on going. Harry Lumley, 1951 Parker's rookie in a PSA 1 again, and a real cheap 51 Parky here for one of the I won't say key rookie, but maybe a third tier rookie card from the series. Johnny Bower, PSA 1. This is the lucky premium back, which is a bit rarer, I believe, than the regular backs. It doesn't have the stats. It's got a premium information on it, but pretty cool still. Like, again, it's a 1. And then we have a 58 Parker's Doug Harvey, much higher grade. This is a PSA 8 with the exceptional eye appeal rating by PWCC, top 15%. It's a pop 1 of 34. Pop 1 of 34, I guess 34 eights with 9 graded higher. A nice card. And I just wanted to highlight it because it is from 1958 and is in such high grade in a near mint to mint 8 with, again, the eye appeal rating. I'm going to pop open the Lumley here, Josh. I'm going to pop open the Bauer as well and ask you for any of your comments, please.
Yeah, what I really like about the Lumley card is that it feels like now you start to see in hockey cards goalies looking actually athletic, where they look very stiff and hunched over almost up until this point. And so what I appreciate most about this card is just the pose and how in the athletic nature of it, and love the colors. I really just aesthetically like this card, and it seems crazy that it's a PSA 1.
And I agree. The centering is really good. Not perfect. Side to side, you can see it's not perfect, but it's a full-bodied 51 Parkhurst. I can just tell from looking at it. And look at his face. It's almost like he's wearing a mask, just the way it printed out. Darker neck than his face there. Maybe he didn't shave under his neck when they painted this. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there you go. I mean, talk about maybe the nicest one. Maybe there's a pinhole in it or something, and we're not looking at the back. So if you're interested in buying this card, make sure you look at the back as well. And then the Johnny Bower, which is actually written Bowers on here, but we know it's Johnny Bower. And yeah, pretty cool card. And I would recommend that, you kind of look at the difference between the Lucky Premium back and the regular back. And we're not going to show you, but take a look at some other copies. Go on through PWCC's records, and you'll see copies of both front and back of this card and other 54 Parkies that show the premium back versus the regular back. Any comments, Josh, on either of these two?
No, just really cool cards, and it'll be interesting to see kind of where they end up tonight.
Definitely. Well, $32 on the Lumley, cheap. 90 on the Johnny Bower. I think that's good, and 400 on the Doug Harvey as we sit right now. Bringing us to that's why the Doug Harvey in an 8. We also have the same card, Doug Harvey, in a 9. This is a pop 7, none graded higher. So you have two options. This is at 875 right now, while the 8, the PSA 8, is at 400. And I would even encourage people to compare the two, because this 8 with the exceptional eye appeal, they're both 8. No, and the 9, like this 8 might be nicer than the 9. So consider that when deciding between the two. This is one of my favorite cards in the auction, guys. 57 Topps, Gordie Howe. Love the card. It's a card I've been looking for a while, been kind of waiting for the right copy. This might be it. I haven't made my final decision yet, but this might be it. I do love the copy. And then we got the 57 Parkers, Jean Beliveau, PSA 8, top 30% eye appeal, 26 total in a PSA 8 holder, 2 higher. So a nice 57 Parkhurst, Jean Beliveau, who is, one of the all-time greats in the sport. Anything stick out to you between these 3 cards, Josh?
No, just all really nice copies and cool cards. I like that Gordie Howe a lot as well. It's just a really visually appealing card. It is the one thing that's always kind of I've chuckled at though is that it's like the blade of his stick is the winged wheel, and how
Yeah.
it sort of goes behind it a little bit. But yeah, if you're interested in the collecting the player run of any of these guys, these would be great cards to have. That's for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, this card right here is the one that I am thinking about making a move on. But you know what happens to me, Josh, while we're doing these shows, I often kind of get carried away and forget to bid. Next thing I know, it's sold. So, and I'm not sure. I have to think about it still. All right. 61 Parkhurst, another nice Jean Beliveau card, PSA 7 condition. Again, like Josh just said, if you're collecting all the Jean Beliveau cards, and he's definitely worthy of a player to collect his whole run, you need the 57 Parkhurst, and then you need the 61 Parkhurst as well. And this is a very nice copy. Here's the Eddie Jackman card. This is the PSA 4 I was talking about earlier. I remembered correctly. Look at this piece. It is very off-centered. So it might sell for less than your average PSA 4. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if it will or will not. But if you're interested in this card, note the centering. It's basically like 90-10, maybe it's 15-85. This is a very slim border at the bottom. Not quite as slim, but also very slim on the right. And then you got the wider border on the top and on the left. But other than that, the registration is very nice. The color is popping. The edges look really good. The top left corner has some funkiness going on there. Top right, pretty good for a 4 on that corner. Bottom right has light rounding. Same with the bottom left. I mean, again, not everybody needs perfectly centered cards. If you're not a centering snob, which many people are, and there's nothing wrong with that, this card might be the right one for you. And then also a 1967 Topps Bobby Hull. This is the last year before O-Pee-Chee got back in the game. It's an SGC 7.5. It's a design I really like overall for the year. And just a nice opportunity to pick up a decent Bobby Hull card for what will, I'm guessing, my perception is that SGC sells for less than PSA in the same grade. I'm not saying it's justified, probably isn't, but you might be able to get into a nice Bobby Hull here for less than you otherwise could if you were looking at some other options. And back over to you, Josh, on these 3 cards.
Yeah, all really cool cards. I love the background of the Jean Beliveau. I just like that set and how they put the logos in the background like that. On the Ed Giacomin, the thing that's I have a hard time getting past centering, but man, the surface of this card and the image and the clarity and the vibrancy of the colors is really, really cool. And it just looks so crisp.
Yeah, I just want to add to what you're saying. The green is beautiful. I don't see any real print defects. I don't see any fisheyes at all on the surface of this card. Little white dot right there. Can barely see it. Not sure what that is, if that's on the card or somewhere else. But a really nice copy outside of centering. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go on to the next row here. Another 65. This is the Jerry Cheevers in a PSA 7 with the above average eye appeal rating, top 30%. And then 2 more. So we're out of order here by year for some reason. We have the 6. Oh, maybe it's, I'm not sure why, but we'll just roll with it. 2 more 67 tops. The Derek Sanderson rookie card in an SGC 7.5. And the Glenn Sather. This is Glenn Sather's rookie. He wasn't the best hockey player, you guys, but he was a key part of that Oilers dynasty in the 80s that won 4 Stanley Cups when Gretzky was still there. And I'm sure he was there when they won the 5th one after Gretzky left and Messier was the captain. I like the pink background on these. It's the same as the Bobby Orr, of course, Boston Bruins. And, if you're looking, these SGC holders actually highlight these white borders really nicely I'll give them that for sure. I'm usually not a huge fan of the SGC slab because of that black inlay, but for a nice white bordered card, they do highlight them pretty nice. What do you think, Josh? Have you ever done a deep dive into Derek Sanderson, who does have a storied past? I would recommend that you look into him. I think he's got an autobiography out there. Read about him. Do the Wikipedia search on Derek Sanderson. Glenn Sather, again, one of the most decorated coaches in the history of the game. And then the Jerry Cheevers, one of the most fun goalies to collect. People love Jerry Cheevers, and this is his rookie. Over to you, Josh.
Yeah, the Jerry Cheevers is awesome. The centering looks really great on that card. I'm not surprised that it got the PWCC IPL 8 rating. I mean, it's a little bit off left to right, but still, like I said, pretty good. So I'm a big fan of this card for sure.
Yeah,
the quality of the photo on the surface is just so nice.
And the corners and edges are really nice. There is, if you guys can see this on the screen, I'm not sure you can. You see this thing here?
The hair?
I don't know what that is, but look, it comes past the card and onto the slab. So this is not damage to the card. It's either some sort of damage to the slab or it's some sort of fibrous hair that is on top, under the slab, or in it. I just don't know. You have another one of those over here. So looks like, but it's definitely not card damage because we can just see that it comes past the board of the card and continues. So that's favorable for this card. Edges and corners are wonderful. Centering is really nice. I mean, it's not bang on, but it's still very nice. Very nice. Anything else on these three, Josh?
I'm not familiar with Derek Sanderson, so there's another guy to look up and learn a little bit more about. But again, I do like that 1967 set. I love how it's the photo of the player kind of against a very rough illustration in the background. I just think that's a nice dichotomy in the design of the card.
It's also the year of Bobby Orr's second year card, which I love. I love the Bobby Orr from this set. For me, that's the card that represents the 67 tops in my collection. I do love the design as well. Continuing along, we have the Gordie Howe, we have the Stan Mikita, both from the same year. Gordie Howe's a SGC 6.5. The Stan Mikita's an SGC 7.5. If you wanted to load up on your 67 tops Hall of Famers tonight, you can do that. There's a lot of them right there. And then Ken Dryden, an O-Pee-Chee rookie, a PSA 7. The centering is not perfect on this side to side. It's very easy to identify. You can just see the width of the border here at the edge of the oval, the blue oval, versus the edge over here. The border is a lot wider. But outside of the centering and the lower corners, I would say this card is really nice. Mm-hmm. Perfect registration, nice surface overall. Top corners look really nice. A little bit of fray on the left one. The top right corner is great. That edge is wonderful. Bottom right corner, it's not a perfect 90 degree, but it's still pretty nice. Bottom edge has that rough O-Pee-Chee cut. Some fray coming off it. Bottom left corner looks really nice, as does the left edge. So I think 7 is the right grade for it. And it's a nice copy. I think someone's going to be happy with this. Again, if you are not a complete centering snob, because it does not have perfect centering. So something to consider there. Josh, your thoughts on the Dryden and these two, the Howe and the Mikita, if you'd like as well.
Yeah, boy, somebody's really, it seems like, offloading their 67 SGCs tonight, because we've seen a number of them. And just echo what you said, there's such a, how many cards we've gone through now? Maybe 12 or so, or 9, something like that. And think of the mix of Hall of Fame players we've seen really nice cards from so far. It's pretty incredible, and just again speaks to the strength in the vintage side, where I think vintage has been a little bit weaker over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's come back with a vengeance.
It certainly has. I'm going to scroll back up to the Gordie Howe for a second. This one here, because Mitch makes the comment, says, I'm trying to parse out in my brain if I love the 57 design or if I have a tremendous amount of nostalgia for the 2001 Topps Heritage. And I can tell you, Mitch, I do have the nostalgia for the 01 Topps Heritage. I have the Retro Factor set complete, which I love. So yeah, I'm missing one card still. I think I'm missing the Peter Forsberg to complete the set. That might be it. It's the year before I have complete. But in any event, Great set. Absolutely love it. And appreciate the comment. Richie Rocket in the house. What's going on, Richie? Good to see you. And let's continue on, Josh. Guy Lafleur rookie card. This is a PSA 6 with, slightly better centering left to right than we saw above here with the Dryden, but top to bottom, it's pretty low. That bottom border down there is pretty slim. It is a 6. I think it's appropriately graded. We have an autographed second-year Guy Lafleur Topps card, which is pretty cool. Authentic card. The autograph has a 10 grade on it from PSA. The PSA DNA cert right there across his chest. He signed it in the perfect place, it looks like to me. Honestly, and it's unfortunate for me because the 72 design is, like, in my opinion, the ugliest design of all time. It's also coincides with my birth year. So it's not like I can go collect the birth year set and be proud of it because I don't like it. So I got to find another way to do that, I guess. And then we have Mike Bossy rookie in a PSA 7. Always tough to find centered. This copy is pretty badly off-centered. You can see, it's pretty high up on the card and it's over to the right. The left-right isn't as bad as the vertical centering is. But again, this is a tough year to find really well-centered cards as it is. Edges and corners look to be absolutely gem mint on this copy. So I believe that it's the centering that has dragged the grade down as low as a 7. But still a very nice card if you can get your head around the centering that you see on it right there. Josh, your comments, please.
Yeah, it goes back to trade-offs, right? It's like what trade-offs are acceptable and which ones are not. I really like the Guy Lafleur. I think that's a really nice PSA 6, even though it didn't get any sort of eye appeal rating in his rookie card. And then it's really cool to me to see the vintage kind of in-person autos or hard side. I kind of feel like in basketball, there's more chase and value to these, and it hasn't really caught on as much from a hockey perspective. You could have like a Jerry West auto or a Lou Alcindor or something like that.
And just, if you're anyone out there and you follow the evolution of trends, it usually starts in basketball. Not all the time. Some start in baseball too, but they usually don't start in hockey, but they make their way over to hockey eventually. So take that for what it's worth. That's how I can see things going.
How do you notice that too, though?
What's that?
How do you notice that too, though, that there seems to be more collector favor of vintage autos in basketball than in hockey, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. Where I notice it is on social media because I follow, but it's also who do you follow? I follow a lot of basketball collectors, a lot of baseball I follow a lot of vintage collectors, and I follow a lot of collectors who like in-person autos on their vintage cards from, vintage players. So I see it like you do. I see it, and I don't see it as much for hockey. I probably have 15 PSA DNA vintage hockey cards in my collection, and most of them are Dale Howard Chucks, but I do have some others, and maybe I should share them out and maybe help encourage other people to share what they have too. All right, continuing on. This is the Wayne Gretzky row. We have his O-Pee-Chee rookie right here. This is a PSA 8 with the off-center qualifier from PSA. And you can see the card is definitely off-center. We'll look at that. We have 2 second-year Gretzkys, a PSA 8 and a PSA 9. Let's open all 3 of these up really quick and have a look at them. I want to just take a look, of course, at the rookie card. Let's just pull some of these up. So PSA 8 is the technical grade, but the qualifier OC because it is pretty badly off-centered, and it also has tilt. So you can see that the border down here, bottom left, is narrower than up here. So it's tilted that way, boom, right, left to right, so clockwise. And then the border here is narrower and it widens as you come down. So that's a definite issue. So PSA is telling us, other than that, this is an 8. So let's just take a quick look. Top left corner, yeah, very nice. A little bit of white showing, but nothing too bad. You notice this white stripe coming down. That's a registration issue right there. As we come across the top, it's got the O-Pee-Chee rough cut. It's perfect. The top right corner, very nice. And I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to say, okay, Edmonton and Oilers, they're pretty much on the same plane. So the oil drop down below should be, nicely placed as well. I don't remember. I want to go see how it measures up side to side, though. Coming down, you've got this white gap between blue and black, pretty much coming all the way down. So that's a registration issue, the same as on the other side. Top right corner is very nice. Right edge, very nice. You get to some extra rough cut fray right over here. You have some more over here. This must be a scuff on the slab itself, because it's right there. I'd be concerned, but then I see it over there too. So I think that's something on the slab, not on the card. Oil drop, not perfectly placed, but very nice. It could be a little bit more to the left, but very nice overall. You've got that white gap right there between the black and the blue. Lower right corner, very nice. Not perfect, but very nice. Lower edge looks great, and lower right corner, very nice. I think that this is probably an 8 without the centering. I wouldn't call it a strong 8. I don't even know if to me, it's probably not even that. It's on the lower half of the quality of 8s for me, mostly because of the registration and those white gaps that do throw me off. But this is a card that is really, really off-centered with tilt. So consider that if it's a card that you're looking at purchasing tonight. It's at $1,725 right now before the buyer's premium. Josh, why don't you speak to this, and then we'll look at the two second-year Gretzky's side to against each other.
Yeah, I'm always curious on the value of cards with qualifiers in the grade from PSA. And so while you were talking, I looked up really quickly the last sales of a 79 OPG Gretzky PSA 6, because like you said, pretty much the universal is 2 grades lower. And so last sale was right at the end of last month, $2,550 US. So yeah, it depends on how tonight goes. It could end up right around there.
Yeah, and I mean and they're not all the same, right? Like
sure, there's going to be a big
Did that one have was it as badly off-centered but no tilt registration? Yeah, interesting to see where it does end up, though. I agree. Okay, and then we have the 2 second-year O-Pee-Chees. This is the PSA 8. We'll just make it a bit bigger, and it's got counterclockwise tilt and a bit of an issue with the top left corner right there. It's not perfectly squared off. 8 looks about right to me. And then you've got the 9 right here, which is better. The corners are nicer. The edges seem to be really good. I think it's got slight counterclockwise tilt, a little bit narrower up here than it is down there, and vice versa on the right side. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say I think these are both weak for the grade. I think it's a week 8 and a week 9, just based on centering and tilt. And tilt is an aspect of centering. So keep that in mind. That's my opinion on these two cards. Josh, anything to say about these two?
Yeah, I think tend to agree with your assessment. And maybe the one thing that I would add is there's enough in the population, especially the 8, where I think you can afford to be picky and find the card that really works for you when you're buying. And
that definitely applies to the rookie card as well. But as we're seeing, we're getting, $17.25 there, $3.10 on the 8, and the $15.25 on the 9. I'm not sure what recent comps are, but they're definitely attracting bids. All right, let's go to the second page. We've got look at this, bids all coming in. We got the 82 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky. I do collect the Gretzky run, and this is the one I don't have a copy of the 82 yet. It's one of the, I don't have the 81 and the 82. I think I have the rest of them. And it's a tough one. It's tough. And again, there's no tops this year, so it's your only option for the Gretzky, the Hall of Famers, the rookie cards. It's a really nice copy. Eye appeal rating of exceptional by PWCC, top 15%. I love this card. This is the first year that I was really opening packs as a kid too. So I have great memories of this set. Joe Mullen, key rookie card from the year, PSA 10, only $220. It is a pop 46, so it's not like pop 12 or something, but still one of the greatest U.S. born players of all time. And a great card overall. And then we have an 87 Gretzky in a PSA 8, for the run, cheap card, $30 right now plus buyer's premium. So Josh, your comments on these three?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 82 as well, and I really like the Mullen card design, the colors of that, how the yellow kind of fits in the card. And you know this better than I do, but man, that PSA slab's got to be really old on that Gretzky, huh?
Yeah, that is an original. I think that's the original format that they used. And you mentioned the colors on the Joe Mullen. Well, look at the Gretzky. Like
Yeah,
O-Pee-Chee went out of their way to color match the cards that year, which is awesome. I mean, I do love this year. It contains the Dale Howard-Chuck rookie, the Grant Fuhr
Mhm.
rookie, the Ron Francis rookie, the Joe Mullen. Those are the four most important rookie cards from the set. It's also got Thomas Steen, who's a friend. Okay, and then we got the Gretzky, as we mentioned. Let's come on down to the next row. We've got a Joe Sakic O-Pee-Chee rookie card and a PSA 10 holder. It's at $340. That's a I mean, Joe Sakic is on the same level for me as Steve Yzerman. Some of those other non-Gretzky Lemieux of the era. Big fan of Joe Sakic. He does have a tops rookie, which is a bit rarer than the.
Yeah.
Actually, not a bit. It's much rarer than the O-Pee-Chee. I think the O-Pee-Chee population is over 200 in PSA 10, whereas the tops population in PSA 10, I believe, is 16. So this is definitely a more available card, but it's still tough to find perfect centering on these cards. And I think this one from this angle, maybe a little bit wider on the right than the left, but very strong centering overall. We've got a Panini sticker from 1990 of Wayne Gretzky. I just thought, and it's a PSA 8. I just thought it was a cool looking card or sticker. Wanted to highlight it for everybody. And this is the first of my cards that's up for auction. 1991 Pinnacle B. These were the first real chase insert cards that I remember in the hobby collecting back in 1991. The Pinnacle Bs were all the rage, and the Gretzky was the key card. This is a PSA 8, and right now you can own one of my old cards for the bargain basement price of $18 plus buyer's premium. And notice, I can't bid on this card. I can bid on this card. I can bid on this card, but I cannot bid on this card because it's mine. One of the controls that PWCC has in place. Josh, anything you'd like to say about these three pieces?
Yeah. So the pop count on the O-Pee-Chee Sakic is 309.
Oh, so it's past 300 now. Wow.
Last sale around $500, I believe, at the end of July.
Okay.
So getting closer to that. I think the Wayne Gretzky sticker is really cool, and I don't think I'd ever seen that before.
I hadn't seen it before either. So it's yeah, it's neat. It's an oddball piece, but it's going to make somebody very happy because we don't see them. So.
And then about your card, I just have like maybe a big picture question for you, because you're such a collector kind of a guy. When you decide to sell a card, what's your decision process, or why do you decide to sell a card like this?
I'm glad you asked. I was almost going to preempt a question like this earlier today, but I had a full day with my kids, so I couldn't do what I was going to do. Basically, I am just taking my Gretzky collection and trying to slim it down a little bit. I've got, I think it's like, I think it's like 160 Gretzky cards. And I've actually gone and pulled all my Gretzky cards out, except for the rookies and the vintage. Like, there's a stack of Gretzky's in my collection. I have 3 stacks here. That's the smallest of the 3. That was ungraded. There's a stack of Gretzky's cards right there. And here's another stack of Gretzky cards. So that's my Gretzky collection without my player run from the 80s and the rookie cards. So I'm just like, I don't need all these cards. I don't need every card. So you'll see, I chose like 5, and there's a few more that are going to come later, not tonight, but like in later auctions, that I'm moving on from because I just don't love them anymore. And I've got so many others that I love more. That's all it is. And I'm going to do a reel one of these days of like my Gretzky collection and just show people like, this is why I'm selling these cards, because I have all of these ones. So I'm willing to move on from this one. These 3 are all also mine. Then maybe it's just the 4. Maybe it's just the 4. Oh, and then this one here is mine too. The Glow Shift is another one that I'm just willing to move on from. But You actually, you didn't, and full disclosure, you did not know that this was my card when you featured it on your Instagram story today, did you? Or yesterday?
No, I didn't. And that one really stood out to me, not because I really knew much about the insert. I've been a little more interested in Ultra because I'm kind of a big fan of the 2021 release that came out on EPAC this summer. And I just think it's a really kind of cool insert design. So why do you get rid of this one?
You're making me regret it now. I can't bid on it because it's my card, so that's a good thing. But why? Because Josh, I just have so many that I like more.
Embarrassment of riches.
Simple as that. Same thing with this one, the Elite Cutting Edge. This is a really cool card. It's serially numbered out of 2,500 on the back. Oh, and this is a pop 6. I mean, that's low, right? There's only 6 of these. They're raw. This card, I don't know. Raw, you can probably find this card for $5. I'm guessing, maybe $10. Same with this one. But graded, they're tough to grade, as evidenced by the low population. I'm not sure what the population is on this one. I used to know it. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. But we're at 165 on this one, 140 on the Premier Pivots, and then we have the StarQuest Red. And this is a PSA, what is that? It's a PSA 9, also my card. Well, my card for a couple more hours maybe. And I have this card raw. I have the whole StarQuest set in a binder, all 3 colors except the golds, the reds, the greens, and the blues. So I have this card twice. I thought, you know what? It's not my favorite card in the world. I'm willing to move it. This one, I am somewhat, I'm going to miss it. But I'll get over it. Same with this one. So
I'm going to challenge
Go ahead.
The Premier Pivots. I'm going to challenge that. I'm not a big fan of the Cutting Edge, not because it's not a nice card. I just have never liked the Gretzky and the blues with the white turtleneck. The turtleneck bugs me. I call it the turtleneck era for Gretzky cards. And
so he's a fashion critic now, everybody.
Yeah, I just don't know what that, and I know he wore it with the Rangers too, but the Premier Pivots is, I thought about bidding on that card. You should have sold it to me before the auction.
Well, I probably had it out on my showcase at the expo last time. You probably could have bought it from me if you were onto it back then. I think I had it with me. Okay, so those 3 are mine. And again, as I like to say, if you are going to win any card that I once owned, please let me know, because I'm just want to make sure not that I can do anything about it, but I hope they end up in good collections and with good collectors, with viewers of the show. Would make me very happy and pleased. So this one is mine, a bargain price of $20 right now, basically, and then these 3 right here. And I do not know comps on them. I actually think that these 2 prices are fair. I don't know how much higher they'll go. I have no idea. But this is a pop 6. It's I don't know when the most recent comp was on it. I have no idea on these 2, but I'll take whatever comes in on them. So again, good luck everybody on those. This card here, a fantastic card, the exquisite rookie patch of Mario Lemieux from 2009. This was released in the Cup. I believe this came out in the Cup. It's a BGS 9 with the 10 autograph. Let's just open this one up because that autograph looks really good. Yeah, I mean, that autograph is, look at that. Still nice and bright and blue. Number 24/25, a 2-color patch with stitching. Nice picture of good old Mario right there. Corners are an 8.5. Everything else is 9 or better. And I mean, the corners look good to me. For 8.5. But you just, it is what it is there. Autograph is absolutely beautiful. So that's a great card. Pop 4, 2 higher. We have a Thomas Chabot Fleer Showcase PMG Red. This is his rookie year, I believe, right? His rookie year? Yeah, rookie year out of 150 and a PSA 9. He's a stud defenseman. I got to tell you, I really like the Ottawa Senators this year coming out. I'm not saying they win a cup or even win a series in the playoffs. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to get a lot of hobby attention this year. They have so many good young players, and I'm excited for Ottawa Senators fans. You guys have a lot to be excited for this coming season. And then we have a Tage Thompson PSA 10 Young Gun. I thought it was worth taking a look at, currently at $155. Over to you, Josh.
Yeah, some questions on the Lemieux that I'd love to get your input on. And Troy and I have been talking about our show a little bit. So I understand, of course, the concept of a rookie card. I understand the concept of a tribute card, and then or going back to a retro design. Help me understand a rookie flashback. It's not a rookie card. Is it a tribute card? Is it
Yeah.
a
Flashback is used in the same way as tribute. It's a tribute to an old set. This is a flashback to an old set. Same thing. Interchange them if you want.
okay? And then I as well think that Lemieux has a beautifully looking autograph. What I've always found funny though is like, let's say you didn't know his name was Mario Lemieux, and doesn't it look more like Oli Lefsa to you? I mean, where do you get Mario Lemieux looking at that autograph? I've always stared at that, been like, like usually like you'll see like an M or something like that, or yeah, I always see Oli Lefsa. I don't know. Is that just there's my Norwegian heritage?
Oli Lefsa it is. Oli Lefsa, everybody. You can buy your Oli Lefsa exquisite rookie patch tribute auto at a 25 tonight on the PWCC weekly auction. Oli Lefsa, everybody. I love that, Josh. That's fun. Any comments, anything that you want to say in response to my comments about the Ottawa Senators? Because I know that you guys do a great job on the Gong Show of looking at what's going on today. I more look back at hockey. You look at what's going on today and more into the future. So I'd love to hear your guys, if you can speak on behalf of the Gong Show, you and your partner Troy even, about the Senators and your thoughts on them this coming season.
Oh, they're definitely on the rise, and I fully expect them to make the playoffs this year. If it just wasn't for that guy Brady Tkachuk, who's terrible. I'm just saying that because I know Phil Loud Collector is in the chat, and he's a Brady Tkachuk super collector. But I'm a big fan of Timmy Stützle. I mean, when you look at, and I've said this before, so I'm sorry to be a broken record, but go look at his production as a 20-year-old, and then go back at people like Austin Matthews and Leon Draisaitl and look at their production when they were 20. And it's mind-blowing how good of a season Stützle had last year for being only 20 years old. And so if you think, man, if he's got another level or two to his game, he can become a huge star in this league. And we have some listeners, a number of listeners in Germany. It's actually other than the US and Canada, it's our most popular country. And we've heard from a lot of people in Germany, and there is a ton of great young German talent in the NHL right now. And people that have watched Stützle play since his youth and have given really glowing reviews on him. So, and beyond that, right, they added Tarasenko this year. They of course have Brady Tkachuk. They have some good Shabbat on the defensive core. They have Jake Sanderson, who's a young defenseman. I think it's going to come down to the goaltending situation. Maybe that would be, but they should definitely, them, and you got Thompson right to the next there. Ottawa and Buffalo, I think, are going to challenge a couple maybe perennial playoff teams in the East for those spots.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited for both those teams. I'm glad you raised Ottawa as well, which is appropriate with Tage Thompson right on the screen here with us right now. You mentioned Brady Tkachuk. I see Daniel A says, okay, we're going to go comments quickly here because I'm going to show you guys another card from my personal collection that ties into our discussion. I think I'll impress a couple of you. First of all, Mike Double V, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sorry I'm behind on comments. Loud Collector says second year Gretzky is awesome, attainable card for any collection. 2-cent Hockey Cards wants to know, was the Mullen PSA 10 sheet cut? I mean, listen, I don't think so simply because PSA, their policy is that they don't grade sheet cut cards. So, but let me just take a quick look at it for you and see if I see any signs of that or signs of, no, I can clearly see it's not sheet cut. Clearly see that on look at that edge. Definitely not. I mean, unless they've, not the way we traditionally see it. So I'm pretty comfortable ruling that out right away. 2-cent Hockey Cards. Mike Double V says, I like that feature on the website that you can't bid on your own items. Yep, no doubt about that. Hobby Champ says, I bid the Solani and Hasek Upper Deck French rookie card PSA 10s this week. Hobby Champs, good luck on those acquisitions. Hope you win them. Tip of the mitt, good to see you. Says, I haven't been on live stream in a bit. We are well. Tip of the mitt, good to see you. Daniel A. Brady Tkachuk is amazing, the most valuable Ottawa center, which brings you to, I'm going to spotlight myself for a sec, Josh. I'll be right back.
Yep.
This is a card in my personal collection. Daniel and Phil, I know you guys are Senators fans. This is the 2020 Brady Tkachuk O-Pee-Chee Platinum Golden Treasures that I just got back from Tag when I went to the Burbank show in a Tag 10 slab. And yeah, beautiful. It's a 955. Nice. So just made it into the 10 range, which starts at 950 on Tag's 1,000-point scale. But isn't that pretty, Josh?
Beautiful card.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's bring Josh back on the screen and the share. Okay. Mike says Sens will definitely be improved. Think it's 50-50 for them to make the playoffs. The loud collector may have a different opinion. I think they're going to make it. Tip of the mitt wants to see some PC stuff. There you go. And Daniel, beautiful card. But unfortunately, Jeremy, sorry, Daniel, but you did say he was the most valuable. I think Brady Tkachuk's a great player, as is his brother, Matthew. All right, Josh, next row. I'd love to get to the bottom before 8:30 my time, 9:30 Central, so we can get everything in before the quicker extended bidding windows click in. But we have one of mine again, the Glow Shift. This was an Easter egg? I believe this was an Easter egg from 2018 Synergy. This does glow in the dark, which is pretty cool. You know, I'll say I don't love the looks of the card. That's why this one, Josh, I was like, I just don't love I don't care if it's an Easter egg. I don't care if it's rare. I don't love it. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to let it find a new home. And I hope that it's going to find one tonight. It might only be $18, and I'll probably lose some money on the card at that, but that's okay. I hope whoever acquires it either loves it or finds it a better home down the road. We've got a Jack Hughes. Now these are raw. We have the Hughes, the Shesterkin. We've got the Makar Young Guns. We've got a Lafreniere Future Watch Auto. We've got a Jason Robertson Future Watch Auto. These are all raw. They're authenticated by Mike Baker, who, by the way, is going to be a guest on Sports Cards Live in 3 weeks from now, I believe. The week after, I have Dr. Beckett coming back on. In any event, we have these raw cards right here, and I wanted to see what they would do. I mean, these are opportunities to get in on some cards for people that are not graded, and you can maybe have them graded yourself. People often say, Josh, they'll say, why isn't it graded yet? And that's a fair question. Inspect the card on your screen here tonight, and bid accordingly, I would say as well, if you're interested. But Jack Hughes, Igor Shesterkin, worthy players for sure. Lafreniere, the jury is still out. Robertson, one of my favorite young players in hockey right now, and a Makar Young Gun. So have a look at them. Option to purchase them raw. Josh, what would you like to say about these players and these cards?
I think that there's still a pretty big population in the hobby that really prefers raw cards. We hear from people all the time that are very much raw card collectors. So I don't find it I don't necessarily assume that the card is a PSA 8 or worse or something like that. And I think too, I've never graded with tags, so I'm not making a comment about your company yet, but grading can be intimidating. The process isn't fun. It's confusing. The instructions are weird and they're all different. And so I don't enjoy submitting my cards from grading. So I kind of get that. Well, has stood out to me really this summer, and even going back to the end of last season, is when we look at, first of all, you look at like Jack Hughes, he's continued to build momentum over the summer. You've got guys like we have the Tage Thompson Young Gun on the row above, and Jason Robertson, which were two of the three guys that really kind of had their breakthrough last year. So it'd be Matthew Tkachuk, Tage Thompson, and Jason Robertson. They've all kind of come back to the pack quite a bit this summer. And so if you think any of those guys are kind of here to stay as far as in the elite level of point producers or have a chance to kind of get to that superstar level, then, right now is, I think, generally a buying opportunity for each of them. And then, the other thing that it just, again, I'm not trying to throw salt in the wound of anyone, but to see an Alexis Lafreniere Future Watch Auto for $90, holy cow.
Holy cow, right? This would have been what, well over $1,000
Oh, when the
a
set
year
came
or two
out, of
ago.
course. Yeah. And
Yeah,
just how far he's fallen.
yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, let's see. Let's get into. We are now into the 5 minute window, guys. So if there's no, and we have some cards that have now been sold. So if there's not a bid placed on a card in a 5 minute window, the card will end. Still alive, however, is the SPA limited auto patch Elias Pettersson out of 25. Really nice card here for $48. What? No, that's too cheap. That's too cheap. I'm sorry, you guys, I got to watch me bid on this because that's just too cheap. I got to bid on this, still outbid. But I mean, this is a card. Listen, I'm not bidding on this for myself. This is a card I think I can take delivery of and sell it to a Canadian up here in Canada. So I'm actually bidding on this to find it a new home. And I'm just going to put a couple bids in this, Josh. There we go.
Well, as you're doing that, what's your thoughts on it? It seems like every year his production increases. He's still relatively young. What's the issue here? Is it the Vancouver effect?
Maybe the auto is a little streaky. Maybe the patch is only two color, but I mean, still, it's a short print out of 25. I mean, I know I can find this card a better home than what it was, for $62.40. I'll be able to find it a better home. So
I was just more talking in general about Elias Pettersson, as far as
well,
why he doesn't get more hobby love, because he seems like he's a guy that in the right circumstance could have a breakthrough moment in the hobby.
Well, great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I do know that the Vancouver market is not the best market for sellers, because buyers are very frugal there, is what I've experienced setting up at shows, and I've done a few shows there. And the reputation is just that it's a tough place to go as a dealer. So that said, I just think that this card is underpriced. So that's why I'm bidding on it. Elias Pettersson himself, I think he could have a great year. I think he's one of these guys that he had a great rookie year. He kind of fell back a bit in his sophomore season, bounced back in his third year, and I think he's just going to get better and better, because I think he's going to get stronger and stronger. He's like a rail in his rookie year, and he still was really good. And then the opposition figured out how to play him. I think as he builds bulk and hits the gym, he'll be better and better. Okay, Jason Robertson, PSA 10 Young Gun, sold for $192. The Kaprizov Clear Cut Exquisite Autograph sold for $840. And then two more cards we were watching. I do love this card. I have a copy of it myself. Sold for $372. It's a Jason Robertson Ultimate Rookie out of $299. And then we have a Cole Caulfield PSA 10 Young Gun that's currently sitting at $210. So that's where we're at on page 2. Josh, I'm going to go back now to page 1. We'll go to the top. We'll see what's gone on here. And I'm going to also go to some comments here right now and just catch up there, if that's okay with you. Unless there's something you want to do before I go to comments, Josh.
No, go for it. Let's hear what people have to say.
John says, most modern numbered cards don't really require grading. It's overrated. I prefer my cards raw, ungraded in my collection. I only grade to sell. If not, I prefer not grading ever. And that's just a personal case, like where it says most numbered cards don't require grading. No cards require grading, John, unless you want to sell and get the most. For your personal collection, no cards require grading. But myself as a collector, I like some of my cards slabbed. And does that mean they require it? No, but I choose to have them done. Is it overrated? I mean, to some people, to John, they're overrated. I don't think it's overrated. It doesn't cost that much to grade anymore. I don't completely agree with John's comments here, but I certainly respect his approach for himself. That I have no issue with at all. Daniel says, what are your thoughts, guys, on this upcoming season for Fantilli and Logan Cooley? I know it's all about Bedard when it comes to Chase rookie card in 24, but Fantilli was drafted second. Cooley, I believe, was third. I'm going to pass this one to Josh because I don't know much about these players. Josh studied the draft and knows more than I do. So over to you, Josh, if you don't mind taking Daniel's question.
Yeah, Fantilli was drafted second, and Logan Cooley was actually in the draft the year prior, so in the 2022 draft, and then went back to the University of Minnesota, was supposed to go back, but then elected to play in the NHL. So what I would say, what really stands out to me right now about this upcoming hobby rookie class is a couple things. Number one is I think it's going to be really deep. That not only do, of course, we have Connor Bedard, we have Adam Fantilli, Leo Carlson, we have Matthew Nyes as holdover rookies, Luke Hughes coming in from the Devils, Logan Cooley, who we've mentioned, but also more so than the last couple of years is that when you look at this most recent draft from back in July, where we have Bedard, Fantilli, and Leo Carlson, it looks like that the intention is for them all to make the team right at the start of the season. So where in a lot of times we see at the top of the draft, we see whether it be very young 18-year-olds that maybe are kept in Europe or back in the juniors or maybe spend time in the AHL, that sort of thing. I think we're going to see right away a lot of these top picks, which is going to give them a chance to have impact and should make both Series 1 and Series 2 flagship releases a lot of fun.
There you have it, Daniel. Thank you, Josh. I knew I could count on you for that. Dave Snyder has made it to the show. Welcome, Dave. Says, stop taking cards to Canada, darn it. Well, I can tell you guys, I have won another card tonight that I didn't tell you that I was going to bid on, but I just learned I've won another card in the auction, which is, I've sold a lot of cards recently, so I have some money in my PWCC account, and I'm going to spend a portion of what I've sold, but I did just win a card I'm very excited about. Daniel says, Pettersson cracked 100 points last year. Yep. Very nice. Yeah, that's huge. John says the hockey market is too small. That's why players that should have a fan base don't have any. Hopefully it grows in the U.S. and many more fans create more awareness for players that deserve more hobby. Yeah, hopefully it does grow. But the market, like I see sometimes people make comments like nobody collects hockey. That's just the farthest thing from the truth. The farthest thing from the truth. You can take a snapshot of the Sport Card Expo and you'll get a look at tens of thousands of people that collect hockey. But again, that's the expo. That's where you're going to find them. I certainly recognize that. And Richie says the housing prices here are too high. No money to spend on cards. Oh, he's talking about Vancouver because that's where he lives. But I got to ask you, Richie Rocket, are you aware of that perception that I shared? Is that something that you're aware of? If you don't mind letting me know. Okay, Josh, let's see what has sold now. The Lester Patrick did $690, so I don't think it retracted any more bids. Look at the Clint Benedict, 1,020 for the PSA 1.5. Nice to see that. Chuck Gardner still alive at 310. We've got the Lumley did $50. The Johnny Bauer Lucky Premium back did 108. Doug Harvey still alive. Little cheater there. I'm the high bidder on this one. I did decide to put in a bid on the Gordie Howe, and I'm currently the high bidder for the next minute 38. No, it's already. Oh, that's me that must have extended it. Okay. And then we have the Beliveau is at 1625. The Beliveau here sold for 250. The Jacquemin sold for $70. $70. I'm not surprised. And the Bobby Hull did 138. The Cheevers sold for 480 in the PSA 7. The Sanderson is still alive, but Glenn Sather sold for $113. Gordie sold for $204. The Makita still alive. The Opeachy Dryden PSA 7 sold for $900. The Lafleur sold for $516. The Lafleur second year auto, $108. Mike Bossy, $40. Gretzky, $23.10 for the PSA 8 OC, which is, Josh, is that close to what a 6 sells for? From what you looked at?
I think the last 6 was $25.55.
So even less. Yeah, maybe that gap for OC has grown from 2 to 2.5 or even 3 grade points in value. The PSA 8 second year Gretzky did $384, and the 9 is still alive at $1,600. As we go to page 2, I'm going to go up really fast. The Gretzky fourth year sold $79.88. Yeah, fourth year did $228. I think that's a great value for that particular card. Joe Mullen still alive at $290. Gretzky from 87 did $50. The Sakic did $440. The Gretzky sticker, $15. I sold my Pinnacle B Gretzky for $24. These are still alive. I'm happy. Oh, look at this. It got to 190 here, 210 nice. Here. Oh, look what I won, everybody. I won the Lemieux. I have the Gretzky from the set, and now I have the Lemieux. And I know what a copy of this sold for at the National was north of $4. And another one for sale right now on Instagram. I think someone was asking $4,900, and I think this is a nicer copy. So I'm very happy with this purchase for myself. Cutting Edge at Cutting Edge is now sold for $252, and the StarQuest Red sold for $89. The Shabbat PMG Red Rookie, $31. It's too cheap, Josh. That's too cheap. Yeah. The Tage Thompson does $192. My Glow Shift sells for a whopping $26. I think I bought this raw for like $80 when it came out. The Jack Hughes Ungraded SP Authentic Future Watch, $870. The Shesterkin, $228. The Makar Young Gun, $168. Lafreniere still alive at $100. Robertson sold for $336. I've been outbid on the Elias Pettersson. Maybe Richie Rocket's going to do that one. The Robertson Young Gun does $192. The Kaprizov $840. We saw that. We saw this at $372. And the Caulfield PSA 10, $252. Right there. Rome Rant says, I snagged 2 cards tonight. My first PWCC purchase since June. Well, that's not that long ago, Rome, but I guess if you're buying every week, that's a long time. Summer holidays are over. Welcome back to the game, Rome. Good to see you. And Phil says, Shabbat will have a better year. The hobby will love him again. He is a defenseman, and we know kind of how it goes for defensemen. So there is that as well. All righty. So now that I've locked up, I was expecting this to sell for closer to $5,000. I didn't even think I'd make a play at it. I'm happy with that. Let's see what's going on with the Gordie Howe that I'm in on the action. 3 minutes until I might win this card, and then I got to put my buying trigger finger away for a while. Josh, was there anything you were bidding on tonight, or in or close to bidding on, or anything at all?
No, not tonight. But kind of what has really I'm thinking about on page 2 is how, again, it's like some of these guys that are current, young, have a lot of promise that, man, I feel like $330 or something like that for Jason Robertson Future Watch Auto is really low. I mean, gosh, go look up at, what is he, 24? Still something like that, 23, maybe even younger. I don't know, but holy, he just had the most points ever in Dallas Stars franchise history. I know he's a little bit disappointed in the playoffs, which he still was like a point per game, but didn't put the team on his back at all. But man, it's like, again, I think he took a little bit of a step back hobby wise and is in really goodbye territory. And then I have to, it hurts my heart to say this, but man, Kaprizov's values are really falling too. I'd have to think a year ago, a card like this, it's a little bit of an odd card. It is clear cut, but it does have that exquisite name. It's not a 49. It's an auto. I just feel like this would have been a $2,000 card.
Wow.
A year ago, pretty easily, but he was hurt last year a little bit and his production suffered, and he's on the Wild, and I don't think we have any hopes of making the playoffs. So it's a little depressing from that perspective. So I think his market is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's interesting that it could have been $2,000 a year ago for that card, but again, he's not the hot rookie anymore, right? Yep. So that does occur. I also wanted to call on the Robertson for a second here. $336 for the raw Future Watch at a $999. Meanwhile, the graded 1010 Ultimate at a $299 did $372. $336. I would way rather have this card over this card, like 3 times as would I like to have it. John made a comment right over. Where is the comment from John that I just wanted to go to? Right here. He says, out of $999 autos, I don't get the hype. Well marketed by Upper Deck is what it is. Well, it's not just well marketed, John. What it is it's brand equity. SP Authentic's been around for a long time. They're always very well produced. It's one of their like flagship kind of brands. You got Series 1 and 2 and Extended now. You got SPA and you got the Cup. To me, those are each of the flagships for each of the 3, low end, mid end, high end. If you compare the prices for these cards at a $999 with on-card autos versus Young Guns, it actually makes a ton of sense. $999 isn't a small number, but it is a lot. They are attainable, which makes a lot of more people collect them year over year. So I don't know if it's just marketing by Upper Deck as much as it is well-designed cards, a brand that's been around for a very long time. and people love them. So it's not that marketing has nothing to do with it, but I think it's just these are great cards that people love. But yeah, they are at a $9.99, and that is a big number for sure. John says Kaprizov did indeed dump hard with the Russian conflict. Was that what it was, Josh? Do you feel that it was the Russian conflict that caused any of that?
I think it's a combination of he missed a 3.5 weeks last year in the really beginning of this year, early spring, and that really hurt his point production, and the team stunk in the playoffs. And like you said, he's not the new hot rookie. It's like Cole Caulfield kind of snatched that mantle from him a little bit, and to me that's more of it. I just think the whole Russian thing just paranoid us Wild fans.
Yeah, and worthy of the paranoia. I don't know that caused any. I mean, Ovechkin cards are still pretty hot. I don't think that had much to do with it, John. Maybe a couple people didn't want any more, but I think that might be it. Professor is in the house. Good evening to you. Daniel says summer is always the best time to buy hockey cards. I agree. Many factors, says John, at play with the Russian player and collecting right now. One factor. Why many, John? Isn't it just the one factor really being the conflict with the Ukraine? But we're not going to get into politics here tonight. Richie says, I think Pettersson sells reasonably well, given he has a rather quiet personality, probably driven by the fact he's a Canuck, but he does have a lot of card options out there. Thanks, Richie. John says, I can get a Premier Ultimate RPA for the price of $9.99 Future Watch Autos. Premier and Ultimate. Yeah. You probably can. And I'm with you. I would choose those two as well, John. I'm certainly with you on that comparison. He says Kaprizov had sticker autos in the cup, and that somewhat ruined the hype. In the cup, I think that had something to do with it. I agree with that. Phil says, I'd rather the Future Watch Robertson than the All Rookie Slab 10. Humans are funny. Yeah. Hey, I respect that. That's what you prefer. That's definitely. Yeah. John says Ovechkin gets spared. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. And Joshua Sherber says, I think his straight numbers, if you look at it per game, if I remember right, Kirill Kaprizov still had a very good year. Josh, can you?
He did. Yeah, he did. He just, because he missed time, his overall totals were a lot lower, and his team was worse last year too. So all things considered, and he was getting killed until they traded for Ryan Reeves, who they let go now, and so I presume he'll just get killed again coming back.
I think Hobby Champs actually got to the crux of it right here with this comment. He says Kirill Kaprizov, he's an older prospect. He's like a Panarin, started later in the NHL, so his collectability is on a shorter leash. And I think Hobby Champs is right. I think that's the reason. I don't think it has anything to do with Russia. I think Hobby Champs actually nailed the reason right there. Dave Snyder says, from a small market, we have one of the strongest television ratings in Buffalo. And because Buffalo's got great sports fans, Dave, I think that's what a lot of that is. But I'm glad to hear it. And my sister-in-law actually covers the Buffalo Sabres for the NHL. So we have a bit of an affinity for the Buffalo Sabres in our family as well. Okay. The Sakic, Josh, sold for $528. So right on comp with what you said the last one had sold for. The sticker that intrigued both of us sold for a measly $15, which is something interesting to see right there. John says Kirill is also with the Wild, not with the Leafs. That's definitely a part of it too. But that doesn't explain why he went from where he was to where he is now. That explains where his values are when they started, right? Because you're always going to get a premium if you're a Leaf or a Hab when your cards first come out. Just look at Cole Caulfield as an example. Not that he's not deserving. Okay, so we got the Joe Mullen left at $320 up there. We've got my Premier Pivots, which is up to $210. I want to thank, if anyone in the chat is bidding on my Premier Pivots, I'm happy, I'm honored, I'm grateful, and I want to know who it is. And I love that. I hope it's someone out there, and I just would love to find out that it's one of you guys. These have all sold. As you can see, I have this now in my collection. Very happy about that. These are all done. Oh, the Lafreniere is still alive. It's jumped from $90 to $120, Josh, and it's going to go into the next bidding window. The Pettersson is I've been outbid. I'm not going to continue on the Pettersson. I'll leave that for somebody else now. And everything else is sold. Let's go back to page 1. Start at the top and see what's left. These have all sold. We saw these all sell before. I'm outbid on the Gordie Howe now, and I think I'm out. I'm not going to continue to bid on that card. as it stands. Everything here has been sold. The Sanderson is still alive at $200, and the new window has started. 5 minutes and counting. These 3 are sold. These 3 are sold. Sold. So that's it. Oh, and Sanderson just got a bid as we're scrolling by, up to $210. This is a beautiful card. Someone's going to be very happy with this Gordie Howe, but I've blown my budget for tonight, so I'm going to stop where I am. And let's go back to page 2 here and just see what's going on. So we got 5 minutes left on the Pettersson, 5 minutes left on the Lafreniere, 5 minutes left on the Premier Pivots. Everything else is sold. Oh, and the Mullen is at $340. John says most people can't even name the captain of the Minnesota Wild. Hint, he's a defenseman. Josh, who's the captain of the Minnesota Wild?
Spurgeon.
Jared Spurgeon. And I'm going to admit, John is right. I could not name Jared Spurgeon as the captain of the Minnesota Wild.
He looks like he's about.
I was going to say Suter.
Oh no, Suter is was with Dallas. I don't even think he's with Dallas anymore. Troy and I were not big fans of Ryan Suter. We called him the marshmallow thrower because when he shoots the puck, it's moves so slow. It's like he's throwing marshmallows.
Hilarious.
Not a big fan. Yeah. So with your nice little Ole Lefsa auto that you bought tonight, now I just kind of question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but are you going to put that in the vault, or is that a card that you're going to get sent home? What's your strategy when you buy cards?
Oh, I'm definitely taking hold of that in hand. That will be with me in my home to be enjoyed over and over and over again. Yeah, I see the value of the PWCC vault, but it's not something where I want to have my cards. I understand a lot of people use it for various, I live in a place where, there's no real temperature issues. I'm not worried about flooding. I'm not worried about theft. I have great security where I live. So, and for my cards that are on site with me, I have no concern there. So yeah, I want my cards with me all the time. How about you? Are you someone who uses a vault, or do you like to have your cards with you?
I like to have my cards with me. And there's something you said earlier about when you gave your reasoning as to why you're selling some cards that really resonated with me. And I'm kind of going through, I think, a change in how I maybe approach collecting. And it's a little bit similar to that, where to some degree I've been a volume collector to this point. And I kind of think it's like, I'd rather get rid of maybe a lot of the cards I don't care about as much. And I don't even know what the number is. I haven't reconciled this with myself yet, but maybe it's 30, 40, 50. What if I just had like 50 really, really nice cards? And then, excuse me, as a collector, it's like optimizing. Then the goal is to optimize those cards and improve that lot versus having 600 mediocre cards.
Well, I think that's a fair strategy, and a lot of people do that. Like, some people say I have 50 cards, I have 100 cards, whatever that number is. I personally, I'm way too far out to scale back to, anything under 1,000 is just impossible for me. I'll ever get to under 1,000 cards in my collection. But I am moving away from card. Like I, for example, was collecting the 2000 and I think it was 10, 11, and 12 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection premium swatches, the patches out of 25. And I had one year complete and 2 other years not complete, but I was chipping away at it. And then I realized, there's so many players that I don't care about. So I'm moving on from those cards. I'm moving on from them, and they're going to go into my card show box, my inventory box, and I'm going to move away from them. And I'm okay with that. What it also does is it stops me from now having to fill in those sets with more players that I don't care about, more common cards that have nice patches. I don't see myself ever putting them in a frame and displaying them on a wall. So I'm okay to move away from them and focus my collection, take that money, put it into this what's his name? Oli who?
Oli Lefsa.
I am now going to put that money into my new Oli Lefsa card because Oli Lefsa is one of the lesser known Hall of Famers out there. And for anyone who joined us late, Oli Lefsa is in reference to this card right here that is now.
Tell me the auto doesn't
card.
look like Oli Lefsa.
Josh believes that the Mario Lemieux autograph is actually Oli Lefsa, and so that's why we're calling him Oli Lefsa tonight. And I now have an Oli Lefsa exquisite flashback. Pretty funny stuff. Okay, couple comments. Thank you, Jeff McMahon, for congratulating me on winning the right to purchase the Oli Lefsa card tonight. Daniel A says Cal Addison I believe is going to have a solid year for the Minnesota Wild. For any of you Poolies out there, a nice sleeper pick. What do you think about that? Is it Cal? Is it Kale or Cal?
Kalen.
Okay.
He's really good on the power play, like really good, and a good quarterback. He's not so much good as a defenseman. And the biggest issue is I don't believe Bill Guerin or our coach Dean Evison like him, and they pretty much benched him. He was a point per game guy on the power play, but can't play defense. And as a defenseman, that's a little bit of an issue. And he spent a lot of time in the press box towards the end of last year.
Well, there you
go. What's a Poolie?
Thanks for those insights. All right. So Sanderson's still alive at 220. I'm just trying to keep my bearings here on what's still going. Sanderson. So on this page, it's the Sanderson and the Gordie Howe is at 12 1/4. Needs a bid in the next 2.5 minutes to get into the next window. And by the way, for cards that get into the next window, it's then going to be a 2-minute window, not 5 anymore. So that's nice. It's going to speed up. Derek Sanderson's at $220. So we have 2 cards alive on page 1. And on page 2, we have the Joe Mullen, which is at $360, which is nice to see. That card, I believe, is undervalued personally. I think he's and we have Lafreniere's up to $135 now, Josh. So it's going higher. Yep. The Pettersson did sell for $81, which I think that's a good deal. I wonder what you Canucks fans out there think. And that's it. Looks like only 4 cards left, right? Lafreniere, the 2 on the first page being the Howe, the Mullen, the Lafreniere, the Howe, and the Sanderson. That's right. Dave Snyder says, what Buffalo Sabre card do you think is the best, most attractive card? I mean, of all time, Dave? I mean, my brain goes straight to Dominic Hasek, but I mean, gosh, you've had so many great players come through Buffalo. Of course, Dale Howardchuk, of course, Pat LaFontaine, Alexander McGillney, Gilbert Perreault. I mean, there's been a lot of great players through that organization. I don't know. What do you think, Dave? What do you think? Oh, right here. I like the 76 Opeachy French Connection line card, number 24. That sounds good. John says, Mario Lemieux autograph reminds me of Lulu, a.k.a. the Luka Doncic auto. Yeah, for sure. But Mario's been signing for so long that same autograph. We know it's not his mother. Or what we also know, and I'm like going to go out and I'm going to say I'm 100% certain that Luka's mom is not signing Mario Lemieux's cards. I'll put a big bet down on that. All right, we are a half a minute away from the next window. Sanderson is going to make it into the next window at $230. Gordie Howe might not make it. So we're going to hover right here for the next 25 seconds and see what happens with that. Let's see what happens with that. Richie Rocket, who's out of Vancouver, says, what about the 0405 Upper Deck Legends Classics French Connection Triple Auto? That's a great call out, Richie. Great call out. Kamikaze Sports Cards, give me a Happy Gilmore rookie card. Potential. Yeah, Happy Gilmore for sure. All right, guys. Looks like this card is going to be sold at $1,225 plus buyer's premium. There it is, $1,470. Well, we'll wait for it to finish updating because we have seen these kind of go back into, bidding. Oh, that's it. It is now updated. $1,470 on the beautiful 1957 Gordie Howe that I would have loved to have won, but I did not. Sanderson is still alive. And on page 2, Joe Mullen is now over for $432. And the Lafreniere still going at $140, Josh. Still going for $140 on the Lafreniere. All right. And I want to see. So the cards that I sold tonight, everybody, the Glow Shift brings me a whopping $26. Would have been better off just giving it away as a giveaway or something like that, but that's okay. The StarQuest Red 88, the Cutting Edge 250, same price. These both sold for the same price, the Cutting Edge and the Premier Pivot. So that's pretty cool. It's a couple of nice cards. Did anybody in here win any of my Gretzkys? Did anybody win the Premier Pivots, the Cutting Edge, the StarQuest Red, the Glow Shift? Was it just the 4? Oh no, there was one up top too, wasn't there? Oh yeah, or the Pinnacle B. Anybody win any of those? Please let me know. Would love to hear that somebody out there did. Anything else on your mind, Josh, as we kind of wait for these last 2 cards to sell? What's going on? What can we expect on the Gong Show episode that will be dropping 3 in the morning later tonight, tomorrow morning? Any teasers for that episode?
Yeah, we're continuing. We're on our second episode of our 2023-24 preview series. It's a 10-part series that'll lead us right up to the start of the season. And on tomorrow's show, we're tackling who are the hobby comeback player potential or candidates for this season. So guys that took maybe a step backwards or 2 or 12 last year, and what are the odds that what would need to happen? Why did they play suffer, and what could be different about this coming season?
All right. Well, always a good listen for sure. John says, Josh, do you think Sid the adult makes a last run at the Cup? And of course,
I don't.
Crosby, known as Sid the Kid, but he's no longer a kid. Sorry, Josh,
Sid the Kid. Yeah, my issue is not him. He was fantastic last year, especially for his age. And I just don't know what they really have around them. And when it comes down to it, I'm not sure that. Well, here's the issue: is that so the big acquisition is Erik Karlsson, of course, and he's going to add a lot offensively to them. But he could be one of the worst defensive defensemen in the NHL, and to me, that's an issue because I don't trust their goalie. And we go back to that Eastern Conference where is really stacked, and we've got a bunch of teams that are up and coming. We've talked about Ottawa, we talked about Buffalo, we have Carolina who's right in there. We've got New Jersey asserting their will. So there's going to be kind of, like I think mentioned earlier, a perennial playoff team or two that's going to have a really tough time making it. And I actually in that category I put both Pittsburgh and Washington. So, I mean, we could have, again, for the second year in a row, no Ovi or no Sid in the playoffs, which kind of stinks.
Be interesting to see what happens. And, the first couple months of the season will be telling, I believe. Another bid just came in on Lafreniere. There's a bit of a bidding war going on, and we are now into the 1-minute window, actually. So $160 on Lafreniere. And we did see, if you caught it earlier when I was up here, the Joe Mullen did sell, I think we talked about that before, for $432. The Sanderson rookie in the SGC 7.5 sold for $276. So we're down to 1 card. So we're going to wait until this one ends, unless it goes for minute after minute. We may just call it quits, but we're going to wait and see what happens here for at least another couple of minutes. Hobby Champs says Crosby is the best buy in hockey right now, in my opinion. No one's paying up for his stuff. And I mean, I feel similar to Hobby Champs on this. I think there's great value in Crosby at this time. He will go down as one of the greatest of all time. I'm not saying the greatest, but he will go down as an all-time. I'm going to just to appease everybody, say an all-time top 10 player. I think he will certainly go down as. John says, fully agree. This season will be a pick up the torch type of season. Yeah, we'll see how that goes for sure. Dave Snyder, have a great night. Bedtime for us. Bus drivers, good night. Good night, Dave. And John says, Hobby Champs Huberdeau still sells at giveaway prices. Yeah, but Huberdeau had a terrible year last year. And I was actually talking with a buddy of mine today, a big Flames fan. We both expect Huberdeau to have a bounce back year this year now that Sutter is gone from Calgary. So we'll see how it goes. And the last card has been sold now, Josh. The Lafreniere settled in at $192. You made the comment earlier that $90 was really cheap for the Lafreniere Future Watch Auto. How do you feel for the Huberdeau Raw Future Watch Auto at $192?
Well, last comp, I was just looking it up. It was $200, so it's kind of right around there. And he's probably in the make or break territory this year. Really, I think it's going to be very pivotal based on how his career goes. And when you kind of break down the numbers, it's like you can make an equally passionate, I think, case as to why he isn't deserving of the hype, and then maybe to why he hasn't had the opportunity. Like more on the, I guess, the optimistic side for Lafreniere is, I think you look at like his 5-on-5 goal production with the team, and I believe it's second or third over the last few years, like maybe behind Chris Kreider and someone else. And so he's just on a decent team. He's kind of been buried in that bottom six role. He's not getting a lot of power play opportunity. So, I think there still is a chance with him. And man, if you're getting a Future Watch Auto at less than $200 and he does it does click for him, whether it be this year or next year, because he is still pretty young, then that could be a heck of a buy.
This card could be $500 at this point next year. This card could be $80 at this point next year. We don't know. It's going to depend how on this upcoming season. The jury's still out on Lafreniere. John says, Jeremy, who will be the next captain for the Flames? I think it's going to be Michael Backlund. John, I think he makes the most sense. Backlund, maybe Lindholm. Outside of those two guys, I mean, it's not going to be Kadri. I don't think he's the guy for that role. So that would be, maybe it is Kadri. I don't know. I think it'll be Backlund. I think he's got the right temperament for it, in my opinion. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it. All the cards that we were watching have sold. We had 47 of them tonight, which was a good mix. I think I put bids on 3 different cards tonight, Josh. 2 I wasn't even planning on. Won one of them, and I didn't win the one that I was most keen on, which was the 57 Gordie Howe. But I didn't hear anybody in the chat tell me that they bought any of my cards. So I'm kind of disappointed that it wasn't any of you guys. I would have preferred it was one of you guys. The fact that it wasn't is fine too. I'm happy with the prices they got. It's going to go towards my Oli. I always forget his last name, Josh.
Oli Lefsa. You got to get that.
I got to write that. My new Oli Lefsa. I'm really excited for my Oli Lefsa. So funny. And but I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Appreciate y'all dropping in. We're planning to do the show again next Sunday. I will be doing it from an Airbnb, not from this background. I will be somewhere else, but looking forward to that. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Thanks for being here and for your comments tonight. And everybody else, appreciate everyone being here. Josh, thank you to you as always, guys. Check out the Gongshow Podcast and on YouTube tomorrow, Thursday. Check out all the Sports Cards Lives. You can watch it on YouTube. Listen to the pods if you want. Any final comments from you, Josh, before we end this?
No, it was a fun night, and you did a good job multitasking, buying some cards and quarterbacking the coverage here. So great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Guys, thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great week. It is Sunday night. Have a great week ahead, and we will see you again next time. This episode of the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction live coverage on Sports Cards Live with Josh Madigan of The Gong Show is now over. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.